Turbo and 2K show.
What's up, 2K crew? It is that time of the week again, and I was gonna tease it last week, but wasn't sure if I would get the time to test it out or anything. And well, you know what? I didn't. But yeah, we are live on both Facebook and YouTube. How cool is that, 2Ks?
It is cool.
But yeah, just one thing I want to point out though: if you are watching on Facebook, go into the comments. I think it's the first comment on there. It's from me. Click the link so that if you guys do want to interact with the show, which we always encourage you guys and gals to do, click that link so that our streaming software can actually pick up who you are, and we can throw your comment up on the screen and have a little talk about it. But if you just don't, if you don't want to do that, just head on over to YouTube and get the full experience over there. And yeah, we a little choked up over that. Well, 2Ks, we got a big week. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. As the thumbnail says, the Pro Bowl is going to be super sweet, right?
Yeah, very sweet. This is what I look forward to every year.
I mean, who doesn't? I mean, now we've got. I mean, hell, we're watching offensive lineman long drive, which isn't even live, which is ridiculous in and of itself. But we saw a balloon toss and people catching a lot of balls from the jugs machine, and pretty much the only one that that had any kind of merit associated with it was the quarterback's accuracy or precision, whatever the hell they called it. But we'll jump into that here in a little bit, but let's do a little bit of housekeeping first. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching live on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, pop that notification bell so you get notified every time we go live. If you are on Facebook, welcome. This is the test run, so let us know how everything's sounding, how everything's looking. And for those of you that are on the podcast side, go ahead and give us a follow, give us a like. That helps boost us into the rankings for Sports Talk Podcasts. And if you guys and gals are feeling extra saucy, go to buyturboabeer.com, buy 2Ks and I a beer. We will feature you on the show, and you will be financially supporting the show as well. And a big shout out to Kay and the crew over here at the Marcellus News for allowing us to broadcast and record here. And we've deemed it the 643 studio. Yes, 643 studio. So big shout out to Kay and the crew for having us as always. And if you guys do want to check out the Marcellus News, go to marcellusnews.com. Link is in the show notes. And I think it's $6 or $7 to get a virtual subscription, or there's an option for a regular subscription as well. So now that that's all out of the way, 2Ks, let's do like we always do. Let's kind of recap the games from last week. And really isn't a whole lot to recap as far as the first game of the slate. Rather unfortunate.
Yeah, that was just a giant bummer. Kick off the day that I think all of us were so excited about with both of these games.
Yes.
They both should have just been. They had all the makings of being just great games. And for the 49ers, just how unfortunate everything was for them. You can't help but just feel bad for them. And I mean, I was listening a little bit to the Kelsey podcast yesterday, and even Jason Kelsey was saying, kind of that Philadelphia sideline was like, look, you're not going to be upset because you moved on, you're going and playing in the biggest game of the year. This is what you play for, was a Super Bowl. But at the same time, it is kind of a brothers club, and you want to beat the best
when they're the best.
When they're at their best. And when you get to that game where winner goes to the Super Bowl, and you just watch on the other side the team just completely fall apart.
Yeah.
From the first drive of the game, where your already third string quarterback goes down with an injury, and then you move in your fourth string quarterback.
Had no idea that kid was even alive.
Yeah, only to see him go down.
Yeah,
and
what was his name? Josh Johnson.
Yeah, never even had heard of him.
Never heard of him. Had no idea he was in the league.
I mean, to be honest with you, how many people had heard of Brock Purdy until 5 weeks ago?
Guilty.
Same here. And so to watch that go down, and then to see basically the entire second half, they don't even have a quarterback that can throw the ball.
No.
So they're and then the news comes out the next day of the Purdy injury, and it wasn't like the kid was just pussing out. The kid was seriously hurt and could not throw the football.
Yeah.
And it was just sad because I thought San Francisco had a really good chance of winning that. They were the hottest team in the NFL going into that week, pretty much ever since Purdy had taken over.
Yeah.
And then just to watch them fall apart and really there was nothing that they could do about it.
No, and the complete sad part about that game is after Purdy's injury, I mean, we saw Johnson. Let's take a gander here because I'm pretty sure he didn't throw a lot of passes. He was 7 for 13. Had no idea he even threw the ball 13 times for 74 yards. Brock Purdy 4 for 4, and then we had a last-ditch effort from Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey was pretty much, aside from the defense, which a lot of people are kind of throwing shade at the defense for giving up 31, but at that point, your team can't move the ball.
I mean, you can't move the ball. How many times are you going to give their offense a short field?
Yeah.
And then you have to expect your defense to be able. And look, the Eagles are freaking good. It's not. We're not. These are the best teams in the NFL. The last 4 teams left, and so this is the best teams. Eagles are a great football team, and if you are a one-dimensional football team at this point against a great Eagles defense, you're not going to be able to do anything. They were throwing 11 guys basically in the box and daring them to try to throw the ball in any kind of way. And San Francisco had no one that was even capable of doing that. And then you're getting a short field. Absolutely, they're going to be able to put points on the board. So you can't knock the 49ers defense. I still believe the 49ers have the best defense in the NFL. And I think if Purdy is healthy, this game is completely different. And I wouldn't be surprised if the outcome would have been different either.
No, the only thing early on that I mean, granted, Purdy went down during the first drive, but it seemed like that Kansas City defensive line was living in the backfield. That was the biggest takeaway I had. And I mean, when you get dudes disrupting like that, it's hard for any offense to kind of get a foothold, kind of get anything going. And then, your third string quarterback, which was playing like not a rookie at all, didn't even come close to looking like he was a third string quarterback. And let's just hope that, and there was a lot of folks that were already, obviously Brock Purdy can't withstand a whole season. Are you really going to put the franchise on his back? This is a fluke injury.
Yeah.
This is not like, he has, has hamstring after hamstring after ankle after ankle. This is something that doesn't happen all the time. I mean, the only quarterback I can think of that had anything similar was Big Ben. And last I checked, Big Ben came back, threw the ball just as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not talking about the 1980s here, folks, when Tommy John was kind of taboo, and hell, even on the baseball side, we're seeing catchers and outfielders and stuff have the same type of surgery, come back even better. And they're saying that, and then of course mix in all the rumors with, and we'll get to Tom Brady here in a little bit, but Brady to the 49ers, Aaron Rodgers to the 49ers. I mean, they're speculating that that Brock Purdy will be ready by training camp, which I think is fantastic. I mean, to me that seems like he's back in a hurry. But aside from that, I mean, this is something we should be celebrating the Eagles for. Yeah, I mean, it sucks that because I took the Niners when they were like plus 600 to win the Super Bowl, and the way they were flying through teams, I'm like, all right, this has got a shot. And I think everything just finally caught up with them. And the only thing that I thought kind of stunk was, why not just put McCaffrey back there, or Debo, or one of your athletes that are? I mean, they, in my opinion, even if they can't throw the ball as well as this Johnson kid, which he really didn't throw the ball well at all anyway. It seems to me like that. I mean, granted, it's been years ago that a team ran a bunch of wildcat plays in a row, but to me, it seemed like that. I mean, granted, this is probably a situation they've never practiced for.
Oh, sure. No, and then on the sideline, you got McCaffrey. They're working on his calf the entire game, basically. So he's banged up, and that's kind of what I thought too while I was watching. It was like, why don't you go to some type of a wildcat? You have McCaffrey, you have Debo in the backfield, and try to just get something out of it. But at that point in the game, they're down by 3 scores, 3 scores at the time, and it was like pack it up. There's really nothing that you can do. McCaffrey's not going to step back and make throws or anything like that. And
Why
so
not?
it was just,
Why not?
I mean, you possibly could try it, but at the same time, you make a mockery of yourself a little bit too. And I think it was pretty safe to say that Shanahan just kind of
threw it in.
Yeah, threw the towel out there. And how can you not? And I felt bad listening to some of the press conferences this week where they tried to question him like it was his fault that these quarterbacks go down. Like it's his fault that that Purdy gets hit and ends up freaking hurting his elbow, and it's his fault that the Johnson kid ends up with a concussion, and it's his fault that his dual threat quarterback breaks his ankle, and Jimmy Garoppolo earlier in the season then he gets rolled up on and hurts his ankle. And so you can't put all the blame on him for that. To me, that's just shitty luck.
Well, I mean, it obviously comes down to one person only. It's got to be Dustin's fault. I mean, the strength and conditioning coach obviously isn't doing his fucking job. all these players are going down. But I mean, kudos to Sirianni and the Eagles. I mean, that they did play an extremely, extremely good game, and it came through that. And I actually have a little. Which one is it? Here it is. This is a tweet from Life of a Philly fan. We've gone from the Eagles made it to the Super Bowl because they didn't play anybody to the Eagles are so good anyone could coach this team. I don't think that's true. I mean, you've got as much of a chucklehead as Sirianni is, as much of a, we've kind of joked about it, how just the stuff that comes out of his mouth is just ridiculous. But you look at the offense he ran in Indy before he left for Philadelphia compared to what the Colts tried to run this year and last year. I mean, it's a completely different situation. So there has to be something said about that. And just bringing, because you remember when he was with Indy, I mean, that was Phillip Rivers. That was a lot of running back work, a lot of just extremely complex blocking schemes, and then you take that to which, when he was with Indy, had a fantastic offensive line, arguably one of the best offensive lines in football, if not one of the most highly paid. But you get that same kind of scenario, same type of situation when you get to Philly with that offensive line. I mean, Jason Kelce is probably the best center in the league because you really don't hear about centers until they fuck up. And even ESPN is breaking down shit that he's doing and just doing stuff that I'm pretty sure most centers or even any offensive lineman can't do that. So yeah, it's just amazing what he's been able to do. And maybe it was because of the fact that the Niners couldn't move the ball, but we didn't see stats jump off the page for Jalen Hurts, rushing or passing. I mean, he only had 121 yards passing and 39 yards rushing, which if he would have got to 55, that would have been awesome. Hint, hint. But yeah, I think the score kind of dictated the play call with the Eagles.
But they were able to do something that I didn't think they were going to be able to do going into the game, was they were able to run the football.
Yeah.
And they were able, they have multiple guys that can run the ball. They have 2 or 3 different backs that we saw on Sunday. Then Jalen Hurts, who, I personally think is their best back.
Yeah.
And they rushed for 148 yards. I mean, that doesn't sound like much, but against that San Francisco defense, that is a lot. That's a lot.
And then add to kind of the insult to injury with the Niners, you have their middle linebacker go down very quickly. He was able to return. And then Bosa's just standing there on the sideline and gets like buggy whipped by a dude's leg. And I thought, oh shit, his knee's gone. But thankfully he was able to come back and take care of business. But yeah, I mean, kudos to the Eagles. I mean, they deserve the win. I think I speak for any sports fan, let alone NFL fan, but would have been nice to see a healthy Brock Purdy throughout this whole game and just not. I mean, I almost turned this off. If it wasn't for one of my bets still alive, I would have turned this off after the first quarter. It was just ridiculous.
And to me, you have to give Philadelphia the credit was you have to go to me into the first half where they don't settle for field goals. San Francisco loses their quarterback. Obviously, they're going to try to muck things up. They're going to try to run the football. They're going to try to control the clock. They're going to try to keep the ball out of Philadelphia's offensive hands, not let them have the ball, not let them have too many possessions. And the Eagles, they score 3 touchdowns. They don't settle for field goals. They get touchdowns every single time they go down there. So now you go into halftime, it's 21-7, and San Francisco's chasing, and they don't have a quarterback that can throw the ball. Now we're in trouble. Now, if you go back to the first half and the Eagles don't punch it in and say they end up with a couple field goals and we're looking at a 16-7, 13-7 game
It's a different story.
at halftime, now it's a whole different game. So to me, they scored the touchdowns and made it 21-7, and at halftime that game was over.
Yeah, I 100% agree. 100% agree. Well, before we get too far in the show, 2Ks, we have to showcase our little mascot here. Where is he? Here he is. Boom, right here. I know he's a little fuzzy, but this is if you can't really tell, I'll get my hand out of the way. It's a drunk duck. It's a drunk duck that 2Ks came up with the name of Lil Boozy. He is the product of a white elephant exchange from my work, and I actually chose him. I actually stole him and chose him, so he will be joining us each and every week here. So Little Boozy, welcome, and you know what? Cheers.
Cheers. Little Boozy looks fucked up.
Yeah, well, his name isn't Little Tipsy, it's Little Boozy. It's a big difference, But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. Make sure we don't forget to introduce him, and everybody say welcome to Little Boozy. Yeah, let's jump over to the obviously the more contested game, the more close game, and the game that kind of got a whole lot of scrutiny, which I wrote about in my blog this week. And if you do go to buyturboabeer.com, you can get in on the on our email list, and you'll get emailed my blog each and every week. And before we jump into that, let's go over some of the stats here. Obviously, the Chiefs win 23-20, and I don't want to restart right now. Joe Burrow goes 26 of 41, 270, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Burrow also led the rushing attack, which I thought was kind of odd. 4 carries for 30 yards. T. Higgins leads the way with 6 catches for 83 yards and a touchdown. Ball was kind of spread out between him and Jamar Chase pretty much the whole game. Let's flip over to the Chiefs. Pat Mahomes kind of has a Pat Mahomes game in 2Ks. 29 of 43, 326 yards, 2 touchdowns. And they only have 42 yards rushing, which Mahomes had 8 of them. MVS led the way for them, 6 catches, 116 yards, and a touchdown. Travis Kelce has a playoff Travis Kelce game, 7 catches, 78 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, to me, this was a very entertaining game to watch. It came down to the wire. I don't know what else what you really could have asked for there. But what are your kind of thoughts on this game? I mean, the officiating is what everyone's bitching about.
Yeah, I don't have anything to say about the officiating. That is what it is. I didn't think it was that bad. I think there was any, major key plays that popped out to me like I've seen in some other games. Mm-hmm. To me, it was. I sat here and said last week that I thought Cincinnati could beat them in multiple ways. They could throw the ball. They would be able to run the ball, and they weren't able to run the ball. Kansas City contained Mixon. Mixon was never able to get anything going. We said it earlier. Joe Burrow led the team in rushing. If Joe Burrow is leading your team in rushing, that means you didn't get any rushing game going at all. They were not able to get it. The Kansas City Chiefs they got 5 sacks against Burrow. Mm-hmm. The Chiefs defense stepped up to it. That was to me the key of the game. Everybody knew what Mahomes was going to do. He was going to throw for 300 plus. He was going to throw multiple touchdowns. He was going to just have a normal Mahomes game. Look, he's the best quarterback in the game.
Yeah.
But I didn't think that the Kansas City defense would be able to stop Cincinnati's offense the way that they did. And to me, that's the difference of the game.
I was honestly thinking that, and this was a game you and I talked about as well, kind of leaning towards the over on this one. And I think the over was like 47 and a half or somewhere in that range. Obviously went under. And yeah,
I'm with you. I thought it was easy to take the over on that.
Because I mean, this to me was, whereas the game before it, you kind of thought it was going to be a defensive battle. I mean, you got two of the best defenses in the league going at each other, and with this one, it's kind of two of the best offenses going against one another. And I honestly would have thought this would have been like a 33-30 game instead of a 23-20 game. But I enjoyed it. I think you and I both went over. Because I think we both took the Niners and the Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously our streak of awesome luck continues.
Yeah.
But
keep listening to us.
Keep
listening to us.
Well, please do, because just bet the opposite. Just bet the complete opposite, and you'll be fine. You will be absolutely fine. But I think the most shocking part to me was just how mobile Mahomes was. I mean, granted, it was, highlighted with that last scramble that, with the correct call of a late hit, puts him into field goal range. Suckup goes out there and does what he does, brings home the W. And yeah, I really don't think that I would have never thought that he would even go. I mean, instinctually, you kind of have to do that, but just kind of out of adrenaline, putting the team on your back, doing everything you can to get a W. But physical limitations would kind of be like, you might not want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You might not want to do that. But Mahomes says, you know what? Here, hold my beer. I'm going to go do it anyway. And thank goodness he did for Chiefs fans, because, that was – and I honestly do think if he doesn't get hit going out of bounds, I really don't think that Suckup had the leg, at least with the kick that he kicked. Granted, situations being situational, you never know if he'd have put a little bit more ass on it, maybe drive it a little lower, do whatever kickers do to get more distance. But Suckup's been an absolutely reliable kicker his whole career. Does he have a chance to make that without the penalty? Yes, absolutely. But I was really hoping for an overtime in this 2Ks, just because A, it was a great game, and B, how great would it be to see the reason they made the overtime rules the way they are is because of Pat Mahomes and the Bills. Mm-hmm. Why not have him? And if you guys and gals really do think the NFL is rigged, that would be the perfect scenario. Perfect scenario. Here it is. Bam. He's one of the reasons why we have this rule. Get his ass in overtime and let's go. Yeah. So, for all of you that think the NFL is rigged, you're completely, utterly out of your mind. Out of your mind for many, many reasons, but just because the NFL has way too much money potentially riding on the line to be fixing these games. Just the amount of money they get from the sports books alone. Mm-hmm. And that's, I don't really care which angle you're looking at this from, but the billions of dollars that these sports books are paying the NFL, once the sports books are in it, that just makes it have to be more legit. Sure. Has to have it be more on the up and up. Yeah. And I don't buy it. I don't buy it
either. If the NFL was rigged, who the fuck would have wanted Cincinnati in the Super Bowl last year against the Rams? It didn't make any fucking sense.
Besides Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
And probably Ickey Woods.
So
we're probably the only two people.
Yeah, no, I can't buy into that. I can't imagine that you would want that all of these guys would sign up to play rigged. And then to have to be the actor playing Josh Allen, fuck that job.
Yeah, no shit.
When are they gonna allow him? When are they gonna allow him to go win one? So no,
probably the year before they let Dak.
Mm-hmm.
Hey yo,
Dak might not have a fucking job next year.
I don't know. Jerry Jones' son came out today and said he's the quarterback for the next 10 years, but we need to draft one every year.
Yeah, but Jerry Jones, also came out this week with some really, really good news. And we got Mike McCarthy calling plays next year. So I'm stoked about that. I was so happy that we finally got rid of Kellen Moore. He's gone. And because I haven't really been shy about that. I thought he was very overrated. But some people like him because the Chargers nabbed him up in the same day I think that Dallas got rid of him.
I think he was without a job for like 5 minutes, to be honest.
So the Chargers see something in him. And maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe it's Mike McCarthy's the problem. I don't know. But
you're about ready to find out.
But yeah. So I was like, oh man, there has to be it's the Dallas Cowboys. There's got to be a big time offensive coordinator that they can get their hands on. Nope. Fucking Mike McCarthy himself's gonna call plays. Because we watched what he did. A fantastic job of running fucking Aaron Rodgers' career into the goddamn gutter.
Oh, yeah.
So. And then Mr. LaFleur come out of nowhere and brought Rodgers back into 2 MVP seasons. So that's a guy that knows offense. Against a guy in McCarthy who I think is fucking washed up, and
his time management just baffles me. Just blows my mind. His game management is completely just for a head coach that's been in the league that long.
Everything he fucking does drives me nuts. Now that team is
his little dance was cool.
The success that that team has had in the last 2 years is because of their defensive coordinator and Dan 100%. Quinn.
And
so luckily they were able to keep him.
Well, yeah, I was going to allude to that. I know we're going completely off topic, but we're rolling with it. But I have a feeling that maybe Dan Quinn is the coach in the wings. Maybe this is the final straw for McCarthy. After that, he's out.
Sure.
And as a Cowboys fan, I would be stoked for that.
Yeah, and for a little bit, and I wasn't really, I didn't. It wasn't to my knowledge that, because I was kind of one of those Dallas guys that was like, oh, if this is your window to get Sean Payton, this is the time to go get him. Well, I didn't realize that he was still under Saints control. Mm-hmm. So basically with Denver getting him, Denver had to give up, Denver's given up all their draft capital for fucking Russell Wilson, and we saw how that went this past year.
Mr. Unlimited.
And now Sean Payton. I think Sean Payton's a wonderful coach, one of the best in the biz. Been out of the game now for a year. Mm-hmm. Russell Wilson now is his quarterback, not Drew Brees.
Both about the same size.
You've given up all of your capital, so you're not drafting anything. Now, that defense, they got some studs. They're young. They got some stud receivers, young. They got a Javonte Williams coming off of an ACL tear. He's a stud.
He was, yes.
But, I don't know. I would be scared. I mean, to me, if I'm a Denver fan, I'm excited about getting Sean Payton. But after what I watched with Russell Wilson, I would be scared knowing that everything relies on these two guys now, and we have basically no draft capital or any picks towards the beginning of the draft.
Oh yeah. There was rumors that the Saints were wanting 2 first-round picks. Mm-hmm. 2 first-round picks for a fucking coach.
For a fucking coach that wasn't going to coach there anymore.
Yeah. But I mean,
why not? If somebody's willing to pay it up, and
yep.
Denver's got more fucking money than any franchise in the NFL probably.
Yeah, they're owned by the Waltons.
So yeah,
which own Walmart. For those of you that don't follow that, but
I mean, obviously their hire last year just was horrible.
And on Twitter, at least, there was a lot of pundits saying that they weren't crucifying Nathaniel Hackett for the job he did. That's why he was hired very, very quickly. Offensive coordinator for the Jets now. It was more Russ can't cook. Mm-hmm. There's something wrong with Russ. And
there's something fucking wrong with Russ. There's something wrong with
But if there's anyone in the league that can fix him or get him back on track, is Sean Payton.
I agree.
So if you are the Waltons and the owner of that franchise, you have to do that.
Absolutely. You got so much wrapped up in now financially.
Yes.
In Russell Wilson, and he's whether you like it or not, he's your quarterback for the next 3-4 years. So I agree. It's all or nothing. You have to go with it, and so I don't blame him for it. There was some talks there for a little while that maybe Jim Harbaugh was the leading candidate for the Denver job.
Them twice.
I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to see he's staying in Michigan. I'm sure after this next season, he'll be right in,
Every year.
in it again.
Every year.
All these people talk like this guy, like he's a terrible coach, but every single year it seems like he's got multiple NFL organizations that are hitting him up, trying to get him to leave.
I'm honestly shocked that the Colts didn't make a bigger push for him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his numbers retired in the Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
I mean, he's right up there with Peyton Manning, dude. Why, I'm not sure, but it is what it is. It is what it is.
You get another bad, mediocre year from the Bears, and the Bears might be interested in him here after another year. So, and I mean, right now, if you're looking at teams that are kind of out, but the upside is there, that Chicago job isn't looking all that bad with the cap space that they have and with the draft picks that they have. That job doesn't look all that bad right now.
No, you're 100% right. And let's kind of touch on the Pro Bowl here real quick. I have a feeling we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. Yeah, the Pro Bowl fucking sucks.
Well, let's talk about those great quarterbacks on the AFC side. You got nothing against Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is great.
It's funny you brought that up because no, that's not the right one.
You got Tyler Huntley.
Yeah.
Threw more interceptions than touchdowns. Wasn't even a starting quarterback. You got
don't have that.
Derek Carr. Derek Carr got kicked off of his team, basically. They just traded him out for some other guy we never heard of in week 14 or 15.
What was his name? Jared Stidham.
Yeah, yep. And Derek Carr just kind of left.
What was funny is Derek Carr was doing his quarterback challenge.
He had a blank. Did he have a blank helmet on?
But
logo.
All the commentators were like, "Well, he obviously he lived here for a while, but they kind of kicked him out." And they're like, and he basically won the quarterback challenge. And they're like, "Well, was it some home field advantage or what?" And he's like, I don't know. I don't live here anymore." But JPA, and it's Jerice Football from Twitter. True or false? The NFL needs to get rid of any Pro Bowl events and just name who the Pro Bowlers are for each year.
I agree.
I can get down with that because honestly, I really don't need to see professional athletes throwing water balloons back and forth, and the degree of difficulty gets harder the longer they go through this because they have to back up.
Yeah,
they have to back up.
So excited.
Hell, I mean, they were playing dodgeball. Yeah, and they're still playing dodgeball.
Yeah, it's a joke. It is. It's a joke. The game's a joke too. They should have stopped playing that game a long time ago.
For the players, it's got to be fun.
Sure. I mean,
you deserve the honor of being a Pro Bowler, but Josh Allen is playing golf at Pebble Beach this week, not even at the Pro Bowl. And when's the last time we saw like a big name be at the Pro Bowl?
No, because they're either still playing or they're just getting done playing.
Yeah,
and we're done.
I'm good.
We've poured everything we have into these last couple weeks. We're not gonna make time to go to that fucking thing. And it's a joke of a game. And unfortunately, that's kind of the way it always has been. And with football, you can't, like with basketball, you can do an all-star game because
there's no contact.
There's no contact. It's just a bunch of throwing. Everybody likes to watch people dunk. I mean, you throw alley-oops all over the place, shoot a ton of threes, score 200 points. That's great. Baseball, you can play a baseball game at any time. I mean, you make an all-star game. The only knock I have a little bit on the baseball all-star game is baseball to me is so pitcher dominated now that the all-star game is normally really low scoring, kind of boring to watch. And then if you let
the home run derby is still sweet.
You let these pitchers go, and like these pitchers are built for having to throw 6-7 innings, so they kind of have to pace themselves. Mm-hmm. You're telling Justin Verlander, hey, you got to give me one today.
Right.
You can go ahead and give it all you got. So basically, if you have a Verlander, you got DeGrom, pitchers of that caliber, and they only have to give you one, they're fucking untouchable. Yeah. So. I don't give a shit how good the hitters are. You're probably not going to get them on when you have pitchers of that caliber, and they only got to go one inning.
But the Pinewood Derby, the home run derby is still probably the best.
Well, as soon as they changed it from the outs to the time, put a timer on it, so much better.
Loved it.
When it was outs and you watched them take a pitch, take a pitch, take a pitch, and the home run derby would start at 6 and you were still watching it at 11 o'clock at night. It was like this. Something's got to change here.
And there's, obviously since our analysis of the Pro Bowl is over, we got to give a big shout out. Tom Brady allegedly retiring. We do have a comment from a
He's
Facebook
done
user.
this time.
And whoever this is, Facebook user, you are our first Facebook comment. And if you travel up to the top of the comments there, click that link and allow our streaming software to see who you are, so we can give you a big shout out. It says, thank God Brady retired. Praying hands, praying hands, praying hands. I couldn't agree more. But let's do kind of a deep dive into this. This tweet's from Field Yates. This is kind of Tom Brady's resume. Okay, 7 Super Bowl wins, 5 Super Bowl MVPs, 3 NFL MVPs, 15 Pro Bowls, 6 All-Pros, most career wins, most career passing yards, most career passing touchdowns, made the playoffs in 20 of the 21 seasons as a starter, most clutch player ever. Congrats to Tom Brady, the GOAT. So basically, 2Ks, he leads football in pretty much every statistical category except for rushing touchdowns as a quarterback and rushing yards as a quarterback. I honestly thought, in the back of my mind, I'm like, this dude's going to hang around and have 100,000 yards passing. Granted, he had like 89,000 and change, but just to kind of put it, let's peel this onion back just a little further. This was consecutive tweets here by Mr. Yates. Tom Brady in his 20s, 21,564 passing yards, 147 passing touchdowns, 3 Super Bowl wins. Tom Brady in his 30s, 40,018 passing yards, 309 passing touchdowns, 2 Super Bowl wins. Tom Brady in his 40s, 27,632 passing yards, 193 passing touchdowns, 2 Super Bowl wins. A Hall of Fame resume in each decade. Now, if you, I honestly had to take a look at these numbers again, but then I had to remember he only played all of the, obviously in his 30s, there's 10 years.
Sure.
He didn't start when he was 20, and he obviously didn't end when he was 50. So the first part and the last part were kind of truncated, but still, I mean, that it's kind of hard to argue. And congrats to the GOAT.
Yeah. I mean, the only negative thing I can find in the whole story with Brady is he should have just retired the first time. You know,
Yes.
He was. I thought watching some of the games. Not that I watch a ton of Tampa football, but I sat and watched the entire game against Dallas. There, the last game of his career. And he's just a shell of himself. He's not that same quarterback. Then we see all of the drama of his personal life that falls into this season. And whether that, who knows if that would have happened regardless if he came back or if he would have just retired for good. Nobody knows, and it's not any of our business to talk about. But it seemed like there was just with Brady there was never drama. It was always business. We're gonna win, and it seemed like this year. You start off with all the drama in his personal life, and you start off. He was gone for the first. What did he miss? Like 2 weeks.
11 days. Or
Yeah,
some shit.
2 weeks in the preseason before the season even kicks off, and then he's just not the same quarterback when he's playing. Turn the ball over. Just so much more than what we're used to seeing out of him, and it was just like, and it's kind of the story of how retirement goes for everybody. When you come back out of retirement, it normally never works out. And
Unless you're Michael Jordan.
Yes.
But he the first time he retired, he wasn't in his 40s.
Sure. Yeah.
And I mean, speak of the devil with Michael Jordan, there's a lot of folks that said he should have just after the Bulls hung it up because he was the GOAT then.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
And I mean,
Nobody's ever going to win as many Super Bowls as Brady.
No.
No quarterback. No quarterback is ever going to win as many Super Bowls as him. Now, are there some quarterbacks that are playing right now that might be able to touch him numbers-wise? Possible. But longevity with Brady is where I think it's going to be awfully tough to beat him, because I don't know if even some of these quarterbacks that are playing right now, I don't know if they're going to be able to hold up and play for 20-plus years the way that Brady did.
And even, wasn't it last year he led the league in passing yards and was like 4th or 5th this year? I mean, granted, he threw the ball more than he ever has in his entire career last year, and then broke that record this year. So as far as I just think that Tampa was fucked right out of the gate with all of those injuries to the offensive line. And then add on top of that the drama, add on top of that to this, to that, to whatever. And one thing led to another, led to another. It was just a whole big snowball effect that you and I have talked about it at great lengths. I was never really a big Tom Brady fan. But unlike Kobe, I took a step back and was like, what this dude is doing is special. And me as a sports fan, however, I hated him because he won all the time.
Sure.
But you kind of have to take a step back and look at the greatness, appreciate the greatness. And that's kind of that's the last probably 4 or 5 years of his career. That's what I did. Yeah. And I'm glad I did because like you and I have talked about with Kobe, I hated Kobe. Yeah. Hated Kobe. And then once he retired and you kind of got to know the dude, it's like, man, this guy he's awesome. Generational athletes. I mean, Kobe Bryant, generational athlete. Tom Brady, LeBron James. I'll be the first one to tell you, I'm not a LeBron James fan, but you got to sit back sometimes and watch him. And he's about to be the all-time leading scorer.
He's about to be the all-time leading scorer. This guy is getting close to 40 years old. I mean, was he 38 right now?
Yeah.
And you watch him now. He's not taking. He's healthy. When he's healthy, he's out there playing. He's not taking fucking days off and missing games and all that for rest. Yeah. He's playing all the time. He still is flying all over the place. At 38 years old, the guy's really never been hurt. He's never had a serious injury. Last year, I think he's when he missed the most time in his entire career. Yeah. And still playing at a top level. At 38 years old, he's still a top. I would still say he's still a top 3 player in the NBA. He's like that is to me is incredible. That's not just look. He had a lot of God-given ability, but that's fucking work ethic that has his body to tip-top shape at all times to be able to play as long as he's played, to be able to stay healthy and be on the floor as long as he has. And the same thing could be said for Brady, and the same thing could be said for Kobe. Yeah. You have to have a different mindset to be that type of 100%. Athlete, and that's why we've only seen I've only seen a handful of them in my entire life. So, yeah, I mean, whether you like the guy or not, and look, if you're not a fan of the team that he played for or the team that they played for, chances are you probably don't like him. Yeah. But as a sports fan, you have to sit back and be like, damn. Yeah. Yeah. I was very, very fortunate to be able to watch that. And I will be able to tell my kids someday, like, oh, shit, you think this guy's good? I wish you would have been able to watch Kobe play. I wish you would have been able to watch LeBron or watch Tom Brady. That motherfucker was good. Yeah, I 100% agree. 100% agree. 2Ks, let's move on to our way too early Super Bowl analysis here. Let's start with the odds. Why not? This came from FanDuel about 7 o'clock this evening. They have the Philadelphia Eagles as a 1.5-point favorite. Over under set at 50.5. To me, there's really nothing that jumps off this page to me because I agree with as it is right now. I have a feeling if the Chiefs get some of their receivers back, because remember, Tony out. Mecole Hardman out. Juju out. Those 3 guys did not practice today. They haven't practiced all week. Which we still have another week too. Yeah, up to. That's why I'm saying if some of these guys get healthy, we could see this line. I'm not going to say get crazy, but it might flip flop. Yeah, I mean to me, I don't see where the spread would change any, but to me, I think the Chiefs have to be the favorite going into it, especially if those guys come back healthy. I mean, look, you got Patrick Mahomes. He's been there. You got Travis Kelce. To me, the 2 best players on the football field and the Super Bowl are on the same team. Yeah. When you talk about those 2 guys. And then you got Andy Reid. Andy Reid's been there. He's coached in these big games. He's coached both these teams in the big game. Nobody, you really can't say about anybody on the Eagles side that they've played in this style of game. Jalen Hurts never played in a Super Bowl. He's never played in a big-time game at all. These guys on the Eagles, they have beat the Giants, who were a subpar team all season long. And they beat San Francisco with their 5th-string hobbled quarterback. Yeah, I mean, 3rd-string quarterback goes down, 4th-string goes down. So basically, they're at their 5th string, who happens to be their 3rd string, who doesn't have an arm. Yeah. I mean, Do I think the Eagles are a good football team? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But to be favored right now at this point over Patrick Mahomes, who to me is the best player in the NFL right now, and Andy Reid, who just keeps, I mean, they just win. All they do is win.
Yep.
So, and then Travis Kelce. Look, I'm ready to fucking just crown the motherfucker right now. He's the best tight end I've ever watched. He's the best tight end to me. And look, the tight end position before I was even alive was not really what the tight end position is today. No. Rob Gronkowski changed the way tight ends are used in the NFL today. And then now Travis Kelce and the way that Andy Reid uses him, he's even, blew it up even more because they weren't running shit like this that they did with Gronk. They weren't running like what the Chiefs do with Travis Kelce now. Travis Kelce basically is another wide receiver out there.
Yeah, Kelce doesn't block hardly.
Not much, but when if he needs to, he does. He showed it a little bit here in the game in the game last week.
Yeah.
And in the Jacksonville game too. If he needs to, he will. But this team is built to they're going to throw the football around, and why not when you got Mahomes?
He's their best offensive weapon, hands down. Hands down. Let's check out some of these tweets too, Case. And you mentioned Jalen Hurts. This is from Marcus Spears. It says, "Bro, I watched at Jalen Hurts get pulled from a national championship, celebrate his teammate Tua after throwing a game winner, never blinked, adjusted, went to OU, and balled, and now going to the Super Bowl. Rumble, young man, rumble. From day one, built the right way, and here we are." I can't think of, especially in this day and age, with so many people or so many athletes going into the transfer portal, this is reason one why people should do it. However, it's not like, Jalen Hurts could have just pouted the whole fucking time, been a thorn in everyone's side, and he said, "No, I'll just step away. I'll just step away." Yeah. I think he landed in the very right spot, second round draft pick. There's a lot of folks that are like, "Yeah, he's too small. He can't do it."
There were Eagles fans that were
pissed
when they did that.
Guess who loaded up on his rookie cards? This guy. Why? Because they were super fucking cheap.
The jump that Jalen Hurts made from last season to this season, incredible.
Unbelievable.
And that's where you have to give the credit to Sirianni and the staff that he brought in there, because look, the two MVP finalists are these two guys, and the quarterback and the Super Bowl here. Mm-hmm. But I have to give a nod to Hurts. And what he did this season, and the only thing that could probably possibly take that award away from him is the injury where he misses the last 2 or 3 weeks before the final week of the season where he comes back, and that might be the only thing that hurts him. But the jump that he made, and we all knew he could run the ball.
Sure.
But him being able to throw and be a threat to throw back there only made him a better runner. Mm-hmm. And then the addition of A.J. Brown makes a huge difference. Devonta Smith is a stud. Dallas Goedert is a stud. They have studs on that offense. But I did not think Jalen Hurts would ever be a quarterback. Watching him in Alabama, who would have thought he ever would have been a quarterback that could make throws? Because you got to make throws in this league to make it to the Super Bowl. You're not just a mobile quarterback that can't make throws and get to the Super Bowl. He had to do it in both ways. And I never. And if you would have asked me that question last year, I would have said there's no chance.
No. And that's why I said going to Oklahoma, he landed in the perfect spot, because Lincoln Riley loves to throw the ball. The whole Big 12 loves to throw the ball. And he threw the ball extremely well, was a Heisman finalist. So I think if he ends up staying at Alabama, I don't think he has the career jump that he had.
Sure.
Because, going to Oklahoma, working with Lincoln Riley, footwork, mechanics, everything like that has led him to here. And then add on top of that, Sirianni and that crew getting him ready to make that leap. So, and it was really cool. Before I came up here, they had a piece on ESPN where RG3 was kind of like a group, just like a chit chat group. They're all sitting on stairs, and it was Michael Vick, Jalen Hurts, and Donovan McNabb and RG3 just kind of had this like fireside chat almost, and it was actually really cool because if you think about the Eagles, started with Randall Cunningham. I mean, he was obviously a black quarterback, ran the ball a lot, but had a cannon of an arm. I mean, he was kind of like the first prototypical like run, never a run first quarterback, but extremely mobile and stuff like that. And then you go from there, and there was and then Donovan McNabb, which I think he was the 5th overall pick from Syracuse, and that was him and Andy Reid had a ton of success there. And their best run was with T.O. So you give him a good receiver, he goes. And then Michael Vick broke all the molds. And we're seeing, I mean, probably the one closest to that right now is Lamar Jackson and Justin Fields. But I honestly think that Michael Vick was a better passer than both those guys are right now. And then bring in Jalen into the mix. I think Jalen's a better passer than Lamar and a better passer than Justin Fields right now. Again, young guys, could they still progress in those? Absolutely. But it seems like that Philadelphia has embraced that style of quarterback more than any other team. And then, do all of them hit? No, not really. No. I mean, McNabb had great success. I mean, NFC Championship after NFC Championship game. I believe only one Super Bowl. That was with T.O. T.O. coming back from that miraculous broken leg. And then you go to Jalen Hurts. And, yeah, you're right. There were so many people pissed. Why did we waste a second-round pick on this motherfucker? This is ridiculous. But I think this here, nope. Yeah, this one's from PFF. Nick Bosa will not be watching the Super Bowl. He was quoted as saying, that'll be a great matchup that I won't be watching. When asked about the Patrick Mahomes versus Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl. And to be honest with you, 2Ks, I'm going to be completely honest and frank. I had no idea this was the first time we've had 2 African-American quarterbacks facing off against one another.
Yeah, I heard that earlier in the week too, and I guess I never really had thought about it. Like I don't give a shit if you're fucking green.
I don't care either.
But
I don't care either.
But I mean, it is cool. It is cool, and it's, you know what? It's 2 of, like I said earlier. To me, it's the 2 MVP finalists.
Yeah, absolutely.
And really, I mean, honestly, it's probably the 2 best teams. When you look at the 2 best teams on paper right now, squaring off against each other in the Super Bowl, these are the 2 best teams. You know, San Francisco, if with the quarterback, if the quarterback situation is right, even though it was their 3rd string quarterback at the time and they were the hottest team in football, maybe that you can make a argument there.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's really any argument to be made on the AFC side. The Kansas City Chiefs were the best team on that side all season long, and I don't know if I ever really questioned them. Bengals were really good. Buffalo obviously really good. I kind of thought last week I thought Cincinnati. I gave the nod to Cincinnati just because I thought they were, the hot hand, kind of riding the hot hand coming off of the Buffalo win. But Kansas City just never wavers.
No. And to kind of further that thought here, RG3 actually tweeted, historically, black quarterbacks have been told they can't get it done athletically, or they can get it done athletically, but not mentally. That stereotype has always been wrong. Now, for the first time, we have 2 black quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. They beat you athletically with their arm and their brain, the new prototypical NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
And hard to argue.
Well, I mean, you look at Mahomes and what Mahomes is doing. What Mahomes has been doing, playing injured because he's not healthy. I mean,
right.
An ankle injury, obviously. But you're hard pressed to find a better leader in all of the NFL than watching. That's what I love watching Mahomes so much now, is just how much of a leader he is. He's vocal. He's always on the guys. And everybody relies on him. And why? I mean, you have to. Why wouldn't you at that? I mean, he's the best quarterback in the game right now. But he's a great leader. And then when you look at Jalen Hurts over on the other side, kind of like he could have fucking called it quits at Alabama when he lost his spot to Tua. He could have called it quits, could have been done. He goes to Oklahoma, kind of revamps his career, makes himself important going into that draft. Comes to the Eagles. I mean, we figured he was going to play behind Wentz. Probably was never going to have an opportunity there in Philly. Mm-hmm. What is it, 3 years later now?
Yeah.
Starting quarterback, led that team to the Super Bowl. Like, there's no question the leader that he is. I mean, to put all that work in the offseason and to become such a better passer, such a better quarterback, learn that position, I mean, that's a fucking leader to me.
Absolutely. We've already done that one, done that one. I thought this was kind of funny. This is a tweet from Super Bowl bound Jill. She obviously lives in Philly. It says, "Here we go again." This is a picture of the Rocky statue with someone put a "Let's Go Chiefs" T-shirt on the Rocky statue.
Yeah,
Adrian, we did it. I thought that.
Obviously, they were not listening to their boy Travis Kelce's podcast, because Travis Kelce on the podcast told all Chiefs fans to not mess with the statue. Do not mess with it, and absolutely do not put a number 87 jersey on it. So at least they didn't do that.
Well, this was tweeted. This obviously had to be taken this morning or last night. So, not sure. They might not have seen it. Might not have seen it. But
how could you be a Chiefs fan or an Eagles fan and not listen to that podcast yesterday?
I don't know.
Like, you have.
I don't know.
I mean, that's such a cool situation where you can't ask for a better year to start a podcast together. No. And have you both playing in the Super Bowl on different teams.
Yeah.
You all, not only have they've already jumped and became the number one podcast. I think they've jumped pretty much everybody, maybe other than Rogan, but they might have already jumped him too.
Could be.
And I know that they're the number one sports podcast. They've jumped everybody there. And
it's because our 2K crew don't give us likes and follows.
yeah. What the fuck, guys? Come on.
Step it up.
And but to start that, and then in the first year, you both make the Super Bowl, or you're playing against each other.
Yeah.
Like
it's the Kelce Bowl, dude.
It's so cool. It's such a cool situation.
It's the Kelce Bowl.
And it's the only unfortunate thing I can find in the whole thing is one of them has to be a loser in this game. And
could you imagine Thanksgiving? Say Travis wins. Of course, especially as the little brother. Mm. Hey, bro. Got you one of these. Got you one of these. I mean, granted, he already has one.
Yeah.
But
does Jason have one? Was he with the Eagles when they beat Patriots? That might be too long ago where he might not. Was he in the league then?
Okay. You're right. I totally forgot about it.
I didn't know if he had to have been young in his career.
Yeah.
For that one.
Yeah. But the one you win over your brother.
Sure.
I mean, that one.
This is a big deal. This is bragging rights for the rest of your life.
The rest of your life. Yeah.
So.
Unless it happens again, which could very well.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't count with the way these two quarterbacks are playing and the weapons that they have on both sides of the ball. You can't count these teams out next year.
You're just going to assume they're both going to get better. Speaking of quarterback play, 2Ks, NFL Game Day posted this. Who else but Tom Brady atop a list of Super Bowl quarterbacks? And I'm now reading this. I didn't realize this was Super Bowl quarterbacks. I just figured it was top 10 all time, which is I wondered why Johnny Unitas is on there. But they have number 1, Tom Brady, 2, Johnny Unitas, 3, Joe Montana, 4, Peyton Manning, 5, Dan Marino, 6, Aaron Rodgers, 7, Brett Favre. Find it kind of odd that Brett's over Aaron. 8, Steve Young, 9, John Elway, 10, Patty Mahomes. So that leads us to our... I don't have it on here. Our top 5. Our top 5 of the week. And I think it's up here. Yep. Bam. Top 5. Turbo 2K's top 5. And I initially sent you a top 5 quarterbacks of all time. But you told me you want to put a little twist on it, which is fine.
Yeah.
Top 5 quarterbacks that you've seen in your lifetime. Which is fair. Because I mean, it's kind of hard to judge when you.
If I've never watched, I can only for a lot of these quarterbacks that probably a lot of people listening to us are going to want in their top 5. There's probably multiple quarterbacks that I've never watched before, and I'm not going to just go back and look at numbers and say, oh, he's got to be, just because judging by numbers. To me, this whole comparing sport, you can do this comparing the best of the best in all sports, and it's impossible because you can't. When you start trying to make the comparisons of best baseball players of all time. You can't do it now with some of the hitters and what they're facing on the pitching side compared to what some of the hitters faced in the 80s and the 70s and the 60s. In the NBA, you can't compare what LeBron James went through to what Michael Jordan went through. The game defense was played in Jordan's era. Defense is not really played in LeBron's era.
No.
So it's now there also can be an argument there that defense, the way that the defense is played and the way that defense is called, changed when Michael Jordan came through. Jordan changed the game.
The Jordan.
And the same thing with football. You can't. It's so hard to compare quarterbacks from the 80s, from the 70s, from the 90s, because some of these wide receivers that we have nowadays in the league are a lot different than some of the wide receivers. Like, there's Jerry Rice I consider him probably the best wide receiver of all time. Well, there's fucking 5 or 6 wide receivers in the NFL right now that compare to Jerry Rice physically. So it's a whole different. It's hard to compare that. I'm not even going to try to go down and compare some of them. So basically, look, if you're expecting me to have Montana or Marino or any of those guys in my top 5, you're going to be bummed because I don't have them because I didn't watch them.
Yeah, because you're like 16.
Not even that. When Marino was having his best years, I wasn't even alive yet. That goes back into the 80s. I'm a 90s baby, so.
Well, 2Ks, let's start off with your number 5.
I have 2 quarterbacks from the same team in my top 5.
Ooh.
And at number 5.
So is this a 5A and 5B type situation?
Number 5, I'm going with Brett Favre.
Okay.
Guy was a fucking warrior. When I didn't get to watch him a lot when I was old enough to really understand football. But when I was younger, basically, we live in Michigan.
Yeah.
Probably the most popular jersey that you saw people wearing all over the place when I was younger, even in the state of Michigan, was Brett Favre. He was loved. He was a freaking warrior. Laid it all out on the line. Played hurt. Played through anything. Super Bowl champ. Put up a lot of numbers. Put up a lot of turnovers.
Oh yeah.
Was a risk taker. But you know what? As a fan of football, and I've never been a fan of Green Bay, never will be. But as a fan of football,
Sorry, Darcy.
As a fan of football, I respect that shit. When somebody's willing to take chances.
Oh yeah.
And not necessarily worried about the interceptions stat. We're just gonna throw it up there and let my guys make plays.
The fuck it throws.
To me, Brett Favre is in my top 5, and I have him right at number 5.
Okay. And let's continue on. Number 4.
Number 4? Drew Brees.
I like it.
Dude, just when you talk about longevity, wasn't like he came out of a huge powerhouse college. He comes from Purdue.
Yeah. Probably the last best.
Undersized.
Probably the last best, or the last best player that come out of Purdue.
Yeah.
Him and Kyle Orton.
Yeah. I mean, and Kyle Orton, had 1 or 2 good years. Well, Drew Brees had
Many.
Yeah, close to 20 good years.
Was the all-time leading passer.
Yeah.
Until Brady broke it.
Another Super Bowl champ. And just obviously got matched up with Sean Payton, who we talked about earlier. The relationship that those two had. I mean, he had everything working against him. He was undersized, and nobody thought he would ever be able to even pan out in the NFL. And instead, he made it wasn't just until a couple years ago when Brady broke his record. Held records in the NFL. I mean, he's got to be considered in the top 5 for me of what I've seen. So I have him at number 4, just ahead of Favre.
And if you remember, the whole reason he ended up at New Orleans, they were the only ones that wanted to sign him after shoulder surgery, which he screwed his shoulder up in San Diego, doing quarterback sneak.
Yep.
In comes Phillip Rivers.
Yep.
Bada boom, bada bing. It is what it is. It is what it is. So number 3.
Number 3, another Green Bay quarterback, Aaron Rodgers.
Ooh, A-Rod's up that high, huh?
Aaron Rodgers. I've never seen a quarterback in the NFL make it look so easy.
Yeah.
Flip a ball all over the place. The only knock I can ever come up with Rodgers is, to me, he just didn't win enough Super Bowls. I thought there was times where he was the MVP of the league. I thought here recently, these last couple of years where they miss out and they don't get a Super Bowl in the LaFleur era when he was playing MVP caliber football, especially last year.
Yeah.
I thought last year was their year to really go get it. I thought they were the best team in the NFL. And so that's my one knock on him.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if I've ever watched anybody make the quarterback position look as easy as Aaron Rodgers. He's so smooth. He can throw it from every angle.
Mm-hmm.
He can fucking gun the ball.
And do it
Just
with
incredible.
I mean, him and Devontae, one of the top duos in NFL
Mm-hmm.
history. But before Devontae, I mean, you're talking about dudes like Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb,
Greg
Jennings, pride of West Michigan. He pretty much made those careers.
Mm-hmm.
So, A-Rod's that high, huh?
Oh, man. I mean, yeah. Number 2,
Number 2,
playing in the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes.
Mahomes. Okay.
Patrick Mahomes. I think when it's all said and done, when Mahomes' career comes to an end, he's going to be flirting with Brady in a lot of categories. He won't be flirting in the Super Bowl category, and the reason I say that is because of all those quarterbacks in the AFC that he's going to have to play against year in, year out.
Hands down.
That's going to be a battle. You got to go through Burrow. You got to go through Josh Allen. Like we got up and comers and Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert. Like
Maybe Aaron Rodgers.
yeah, I mean it is just a gauntlet of quarterbacks in that league,
And Russ.
and they're just going to steal from each other.
Oh, sure.
But as far as kind of same thing can be said for Mahomes as what you can with Rodgers. Just makes it look easy.
Yeah.
Throws it from all different angles. I kind of thought that
It is crazy.
and I thought going into this year, you lose Tyreek Hill. I don't think this team's gonna get back to the Super Bowl. That's what I said at the beginning of the year. You lose a guy like Tyreek Hill, how do you expect that offense to go on?
Oh, excuse me.
It was almost like it didn't even matter.
And especially in that division, the way that division was being hyped up,
Yeah,
that was a huge loss. It's like they might not even win the division. They might be fighting for a wild card spot.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, they're the number 1 seed.
yeah. And watching Mahomes, he's got to be so frustrating to prepare for, to play against, because like how many times do you think you have him bottled up, and he just like. He's able to sidestep out of everything, throws some pass. Half the time, I don't even think he's fucking looking.
No.
Throws it from some submarine style and is able to get it to 87. And they pick up. And whether it's a big play or whether it's just him getting out of a loss of 7 or 8 on a sack, and he's able to get 5 or 6 out of it. Mm-hmm. He's got to be so frustrating to play against. He's the GOAT right now. He's the GOAT in the NFL right now where we speaking. I have him at number 2.
And obviously number 1.
Number 1, it's obvious.
Yep.
He is the GOAT of all time. It's Tom Brady. How do you? His resume speaks for itself. I don't even feel like I need to sit here and talk because he did it all himself. Like
I mean, we went over his resume.
and I mean,
We went over his resume.
people can have sat there and argued with me over and over. I can't believe I just thought about this. I fucking left Peyton Manning out.
I was wondering.
Holy shit. Holy
like,
shit.
man,
I fucking left Peyton Manning out.
Peyton Manning
Okay,
hater.
hang on. Brett Favre's going. I'm switching it out now.
Brett Favre's out.
Brett Favre's out. He's at 6 now for me. Drew Brees falls to 5. Aaron Rodgers falls to 4. Peyton Manning falls to 3.
Okay.
It goes into 3.
Fair enough.
Fucking sorry, Peyton. God damn.
He's coaching
And
the Pro Bowl, dude.
There's a lot of. I was pretty young too. I mean, I'm obviously far older than Manning, but I was pretty young for a lot of Peyton's career also. So not as fresh as some of these other guys.
Yeah.
But Peyton Manning would be number 3 on my list. I fucked that up. Brett Favre, fuck you. You suck. You're out. Rodgers is still in over you. Drew Brees is still in at number 5, but Peyton is at number 3. But and then as far as with the Tom Brady talk, like I said, it speaks for itself.
Hands down.
So fuck, man, I botched. I cannot believe I left Peyton Manning out of that.
Well, I'm going to lead with number 1 because it's the obvious. It's Brady.
Yeah.
And now, if we would have talked 5 years ago, I would have argued up and down that he's not even close.
Mm-hmm.
I have to take my medicine and swallow that and actually appreciate how good the man is. So Tom Brady's number 1. We're going to slide down to number 5. So like I said, it's anticlimactic. I think it's going to be more climactic to see who's number 2. Number 5, Dan Marino. He said, I'm 11 years older than you are. And before a lot of these guys came along, like Peyton, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, all these guys, Marino was setting these passing records that everyone thought were so far out there because no one passed for 3,000 yards a season. No one passed for 4,000 yards a season. It was just unheard of. So, and then to do it with two guys named Duper and Clayton, I couldn't even name you a running back that he had. So to do it with the cast that he did, I got to give him a shout. Number 4, I have to agree with Drew Brees. Just from, he did it all.
Mm-hmm.
He did he win an MVP?
I have to believe he did.
Yeah, I would have to think he did. But Super Bowl winner, was led the league in passing a number of years. Just in all, probably him and Marino and Rodgers are the 3 best passers of the football I have ever seen.
Never a regular season MVP.
Well, that's a
Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
Offensive Player of the Year twice. How do you win the fucking Offensive Player of the Year award, but you don't win an MVP? And led the NFL in passing yards in 7 different seasons.
He was probably like number 2 when Adrian Peterson won his.
Yeah.
That's
probably
shooting from the
pretty
hip.
good.
Shooting from the hip. So that was number 4. Number 3, Joe Montana. Obviously I have a huge Notre Dame love, but a guy kind of like Brady, his resume speaks for himself. Never lost in the Super Bowl. Never threw an interception in the Super Bowl. I believe he was 2-time Super Bowl MVP. But it's hard to win that when you're throwing to a dude in Jerry Rice that has every single receiving record in Super Bowl history. So he's got to come in at number 3. Number 2 is Peyton Manning. Because as much as Tom dominated the NFL, Peyton changed the NFL. And I think without those two at the same time, we don't get either one. Because I think those two constantly prepared for each other, constantly tried to outdo each other, kept trying to one-up the other one. Not that these dudes need any other driving force because they're professional athletes, but I think that was huge.
Yeah.
I honestly think that was huge. And again, was the MVP multiple times. I think he has the most passing touchdowns in a season, I think. I think because he had it, Brady got it, and I think he got it back in Denver. And if you want to go even nerdier, I think those two are as far as fantasy football wise, are the 1 and 2 in fantasy football points of all time. So, yeah, that little bit different list. Aaron Rodgers just barely misses the list. Brett Favre, I think I'm with you, is below Aaron.
Yeah.
And I think by the time Aaron's career is done, unless it's done right now, I think his accolades, his stats might close that gap between Favre, aside from the interceptions. And I think you're going to see why he should be ahead of Favre on these lists.
Sure.
So I can't really argue anyone on your list, and
No, other than the fact that I left Peyton Manning out I can't believe I did that. No, he's obvious. He's obviously on my list. I fucked up on that one bad. I ended up with him at number 3. I got Mahomes over him. But you know what? I would say I would probably switch that again. I would say Manning's at number 2. Mahomes is at number 3 right now. Now, when it's all said and done, when it's all said and done, I would say Mahomes will jump him.
Yeah.
But.
Right.
Yeah, so my list is, I botched that one bad, but yeah, people were probably like, "What the fuck where the fuck is Manning at?" Like, I completely forgot about him.
For all of our fans down in the Indianapolis area, 2Ks is a Peyton Manning hater. It's okay. It's okay. Well, 2Ks, man, we've had for as little as to talk about here in the slowest football week of the year, it seems like. We're an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
We were an hour and 20 minutes. Is there anything else we need to wrap up, my friend?
No.
Awesome. Man, a few words on the wrap up. Well, 2K crew, hopefully the ones that did get in to watch on the Facebook group did enjoy it. We will continue to do this on both the YouTube channel and the Facebook group. If you want to get in on the Facebook group, facebook.com/group/2KCrew. But we do encourage everyone to get the full experience. Come over to YouTube and help our view count, help our subscribers out, so that we can get more views overall. And if you are in the group, invite some people. Let's all invite 3 people to the group. Let's grow the group, and let's grow together, and let's chase the Kelsey's podcast. What do you think, 2Ks?
Let's do it.
I have a feeling we're going to be kind of behind the 8 ball here. So,
We're not going to be able. I don't expect either one of us to be suiting up in the Super Bowl anytime soon.
No, and we don't have kind of direct contact with like Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, probably not. No.
I mean,
that.
I can make some calls, but
We probably don't want anything really. We probably won't be able to get any opportunities there.
no.
But yeah, I did win. I won the beer pong tournament at our house a couple weekends ago,
You
so
did.
I have that going for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And but yeah, that's about it.
Did you get a trophy?
No,
I'm playing this out better. Maybe a belt.
I'll play for that. For little
No.
Boozy over there.
Little Boozy stays here. I honestly can't wait for Kay to come in tomorrow morning and be like, what the fuck is this?
Bunch of beer cans around little Boozy.
What are these morons doing? I can't wait. Well, 2K Crew, we'll get you out of here on this. We will see you next week. You guarantee we're going to talk about Super Bowl, where we're going to do our, this is kind of a tradition now, 2Ks. We do our random prop bet show. So,
Yep.
I guarantee that I'll give you guys the show rundown right now. We're going to break down the Super Bowl, how we think it's going to go, look at the odds, give you our bets, and then we're going to do random, ridiculous prop bets, and, of course, our top 5, our new segment. So, yeah, there you go. Tune in next week. That's going to be the show. I normally like to have a little surprise, but if you follow us for any amount of time, and, dude, our random prop bet show is usually one of our highest watched shows. So folks seem to like it.
People like to bet. People like
Yeah.
to bet money.
Yeah.
I love to bet.
I do too.
So-
I do too. And especially when FanDuel gives me free money to bet.
Yes, absolutely. Free money is always a good thing.
Yeah, and I did one hell when you were with your wisdom or your root canal. I did one hell of a promo for FanDuel, so they should. Hey, shout out! You can be the official sports book of the Turbo and 2K show. I will pub the shit out of you. Well, 2K Crew, I've wasted enough time. Let's wrap this up. We will see you next week, and as always, the Kelsey brothers, we're coming for you.